Everyone is being held back now. Violent Panda puts it straight out. It's going to be over to Kanar. It's almost in. Follow scored.
The shot unanswered from Kanar. All season long, he's had support from Turbo. And he won't let up now. 4 seconds left.
NRG need this immediately. They've got the kickoff in their favor. Kanar tries to clear. It is almost there. It just has to hit the floor. Violent Panda puts it a long way. And it's almost there. Justin keeps it alive. Turbo Apostle there. Bounces
into the corner.
NRG still around. Justin is there for the shot.
Justin!
This is Rocket League.
They did it!
I think this one might stick around for a long time for me, which was Season 8 Worlds Dignitas versus Vitality. That series, more specifically that overtime game, I think it's Game 6 overtime.
Will go into the ground, overtime in Game 6. Vitality 1 goal away from the grand finals.
It's a feeling that's hard to explain, being on that stage and having worked so hard to get there and watching the players executing the play style that we had practiced and studied for so long. And seeing it work against all these teams at Worlds, and especially in that Vitality series.
That overtime was probably insane just by the amount of saves both teams made and just how close it was. Every single shot was very close and barely saved, and that's like watching it back, I'm still on the edge of my seat.
Wait, shot with an opportunity to win it here in Game 6. It's not going to happen. That's it. Violent Panda up. He finds a shot actually, and now the pass back in, but no. Kanar will send it away. And we've almost played an entire extra game of overtime. Panda's the last line of defense. He gets one play. Here's Kanar, but he puts it high. Skunk with the follow-up. Oh my goodness, very big shots in there. Here's Skunk for the win. No! Defended. Violent Panda holds on. Kanar, can he do it? No! The defensive masterclass on both sides. Vitality going for placement and finesse over power. Trying to slip it through defenders. And the dunk is there. Yu-Gi-Oh! He puts it over the edge. Oh, and he does it! We go to Game 7! It's what everyone wanted! Yeah! Let's go! Let's go! Come on! The song's clear, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Just drives it home!
It was weird because we were on stage, there were so many people there, but in that moment, it was just me, my players, and our opponents. Like, we were in this bubble. We were in this like isolated bubble where nothing else mattered, and it was just an incredible feeling to be a part of that.
I still remember watching that series live as it was happening, and I think it was at that specific moment where I decided that Rocket League has to be the greatest esport of all time. And there's plenty of other games out there that are great too, and that are even more popular than Rocket League. But in that moment, knowing everything that I know about this game, from how it started to where it's come to now, everything was simple. But hold on. How did we get here? How did we get to this point where we have this incredible game right in front of us that is completely free to play now and can be watched and understood by someone who's never even played video games before? To answer that, we're going to have to go back to where this whole thing started.
You should have waited to do this until spectator mode was in the game, honestly.
We can do it again. Doesn't mean we can't do it again.
Alright, let's see here. Party.
Rocket League being so special is such a, like, and why it's so special to me is such a hard question to answer, because you look at it and you're like, it's a bunch of cars hitting a ball. Like, well, this is so dumb. And I've actually had that moment in the middle of casting before, but I think I've narrowed it down to the fact that it's so freeform. The ability to showcase personality in a little car driving around, but you can really get across how you are. Are you a patient player? Are you an aggressive player? Are you a stylish player? And Rocket League gives you this beautiful playground to showcase that personality.
It's funny because I used to play the prequel to Rocket League, Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars, when I was like 11 or 12 on PS3. And yeah, I remember playing that game. I bought it for like, I think it was like $5 at the time. And I just looked at just the concept, right? Because I actually used to love playing FIFA. I just like being able to just control one player in the old game was just so fun to me. And then so when Rocket League came out, I just started playing it. And yeah, I mean, there's no other game like it really.
Rocket League is so special to me because it's so easy to say it's unlike any other game, but it kind of is. Like, it's its own little game. Like, you have FPS shooters, you have MOBAs, you have a bunch of genres in games, but like Rocket League, what can you compare to Rocket League? I mean, you can go to sports and stuff and you can compare like FIFA with it, but like, that's not really it. Like, Rocket League is just special in its own way, and that's why I liked it a lot when I started it. Like, it's nothing like I've ever played before, and it just got me hooked right from the start.
Need to keep one player between the ball and the goal at all times because Envy have been catching them. Infield pass to Violent Panda. It's gonna go in!
What a shot! We talk about these infield pass plays, and that is a picture-perfect one right there.
Even though Rocket League is technically classified as a sports simulation game, it is nothing but. You're talking about in other games like FIFA and Madden and stuff. If you want to pass the ball or you want to do a certain action, you click a button. And in Rocket League, that's not the case. It would be like as if you were playing FIFA, but in order to pass the ball, you have to control every minute little joint in the person's leg and then also kick it at the exact amount right of power. Like, every fine detail is how playing Rocket League differs.
I used to think to myself, man, it would be really, really cool if I could control one player and control their whole body and not just control the animations that they do. So when I played Rocket League for the first time, I realized that that was the equivalent to controlling an individual player and controlling their whole body.
I mean, you're talking, you have to not only drive at a perfect pace, you've got to match the read of the ball, you've got to hit it with the right power, you got to make sure it's on the right angle of the car, you've got like every minute little detail you're in control of, and that's why it is as exciting as it is, because as I mentioned, if you do it just right, I don't know if there's many other gaming feelings that are like it.
Okay, so I don't think there's necessarily a skill ceiling, but I think what it is people are just going to become more and more and more consistent with like the super advanced mechanics, like the stuff you see like one-off here and there. Like currently, I think in like a couple seasons from now, you're going to see players pull those off like regularly.
Freeway when Taranturo is on the ball.
That is disgusting. Flip reset into a pre-flip.
I don't think we're ever going to see one specific play style or meta work. A team is always going to try to find that edge, and then people will copy that, and then another team will try to find the edge out of that current meta. So it'll constantly evolve. The meta will never stagnate to one thing.
No matter what, the meta is going to change and shift and evolve and be different every season, I would say. But it's not always going to be new, if that makes sense. So sometimes the meta will shift, it will change, but it might go back to something that worked previously.
Wild9 unable to take it, but Squishy now. He puts it through. He's been going for this stuff all season, and he pulls it off here in the most clutch moment. The player to invent the shot himself.
For a long time, ceiling shots used to be jumping off the ceiling and shooting right away because it was very unpredictable, the shift in the direction of the ball. It would shift in a way that people weren't used to. But once people got used to that, people had to start delaying their ceiling shot by falling off the ceiling and shooting a late shot. And now, because players have gotten used to that, they're good at defending that delay and kind of predicting it. And so now it's become useful to take that instant shot again because everybody's expecting you to delay it. So as the meta shifts and players get used to it, I think that the meta will always continue to shift and maybe even go back to something that worked before, like full circle, just because people aren't doing it, so they aren't conditioned to be ready for it.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, like how like Rocket League, they don't add anything, right? You can't necessarily add like a new mechanic, or they don't do that. In comparison to like, I don't know, like League of Legends, right? Where they add like new champs, or they like adjust items, stuff like that, or in CSGO or Valorant, where they add new maps and stuff like that. But Rocket League, they don't do that, right? So everyone just practices the same game over and over again.
Other games, sports games, shooter games, really any other video games, you are given a character that has a limitation on their movement. You're given a character that has set animations. So you're only able to play within those boundaries. And with Rocket League, you don't have boundaries. The only boundaries are the size of the field. But other than that, your movement, your control, the ball's movement, your decision making, everything is left up to you in a sandbox.
I think what makes Rocket League so much different than these other games that have patches that come out to try to shift things is that a lot of times characters are defined by the abilities. When you pick a character in Overwatch or in League of Legends and Dota, you have a specific set of skills that you're allowed to use. Whereas in Rocket League, everyone's on the same playing field. Sure, you could argue that some of the cars react to the ball a little bit differently. Dominus compared to Octane, you know, hits harder or something, but they're very minuscule. But switching between a hero in League of Legends is a drastic playstyle difference. And because of that, people will always try to find the thing that is the most effective, and they'll all tend towards those characters. And it forces developers then to say, hey, we got to introduce something to disrupt this. And now you have developers defining the meta rather than the players defining the meta. And the reason players in Rocket League get to define that meta is because there is no introduction of a car that drives faster or definitively hits harder or demos faster or can do different things. When you give everybody the same tools for the same playing field to be on even ground and then just showcase your skill, you allow the player base to define what the game is rather than the developers.
And he won't let up now. 4 seconds left.
NRG need this immediately. They've got the kick off in their favor. Kato tries to clear. It is almost there. It just has hit the floor. Violet Panther puts it a long way. And it's almost there. Justin keeps it alive. Teleports it there. Bounces
into the corner.
NRG still around. Justin is there for the shot.
Justin!
This is Rocket League.